Hello and welcome to the Wad Fam Chalk Pod. I'm Dylan Weaver.
And I'm Andrew Sabo.
Hey guys, we're back.
Here to talk about Odyssey.
Yeah, it's exciting.
Here.
This is The Green Ring Conspiracy Part 4, which is episode 682, and is officially day 2 of The Green Ring Conspiracy.
Night has come and gone, and it is like 6 in the morning when this is happening, like when the episode starts.
Yeah.
It feels like these days are very long.
Yeah, but I think that's only because like we're jumping back and forth between like 4 different character groupings.
Yeah.
5 character groupings. It's a lot.
Yeah.
So like we have the I mean I guess Polehouse, Wit, Graham are all kind of one thing for a little while. Now we've got Wit and Monty, and we've also got Tanner, but then we haven't even checked in with Matthew and Nelson in a while.
What are they doing? Still poking at the phone?
Right. So there's a lot of different things up in the air, jumping around. We've got a bunch of storylines going on, and I think that's kind of what gives it such this sprawling feel, even though it's only been a day.
Yeah.
Also, Odyssey never does 2 episodes that are in a single day.
Yeah, that really doesn't happen much. I mean, with the exception of, like, maybe Imagination Station Adventures.
Sure. Like, there are the occasional 2-parters that are one story, but even, like, the stuff we've been covering, the 2-parters usually break up, and it's separate days now.
Yeah.
Like, that's ostensibly what the Rydell Revelations did. That is what Perfect Witness does. Kidsborough does that. Other side, I guess all the 3-parters pretty clearly do.
Yeah.
And then I guess 2-parters are maybe a little bit more, hey, this is all in one day. But even like Bernard and Joseph is 2 days.
Yeah. He leaves and comes back to finish the story. Worth it.
Yeah.
Worth it.
They do the same thing in the like Pokenberry finale, where like Pokenberry RFD is 2 days.
Oh yeah.
Because they leave the cassette and then they come back to it. Or no, I guess they might just flip it over. Regardless,
probably 2 tapings.
It's a little bit more segmented.
Yeah, definitely. It is weird, but I do like it. It gives me a little bit more of like a Last Chance Detectives feel, where there's like we get this one album, this one timeline, and they seem to be making like a conscious effort to relatively stick to something cohesive like that.
Yeah, that's actually a really good analogy I hadn't thought of before. But like it is like the mystery thing in like and obviously Last Chance Detectives is what 3-4-parters. Yeah. But it is still that like we've got this kind of sprawling mystery that gets developed out over, multiple hours.
Yeah, and it's not weird to have like really long scenes of dialogue or like cutting back and forth between different things that are happening at the same time to kind of fill out that time period.
Yeah, for sure. We do have a couple cast members to bring up this episode. This is it's our first appearance in a while of Audrey Wazalowski as Katrina.
Yeah.
So
her voice sounds so different from the other Katrinas we've covered.
Oh, yeah. Like, I think I'm only thinking about it because we were doing these, like, back-to-back almost. Or, like, because we just covered old Katrina stuff, and now we're doing this. I think normally it feels a little bit more natural. It's the same, like, she's the Katrina we talked about back in Novacom era. But this is her here. And then we also have, this is our first coverage of Chad Reiser, who's the actor playing Monty.
Oh, okay, yeah. And that is not the older version of the child actor who played him.
It is, in fact, the older version of the child.
Yep. Oh, that's right. And he left in, yep.
They truly got, and so Chad Reiser was Monty originally. He then was Digger for a while. And he has come back a lot throughout Odyssey. He's been in like 50-some episodes. So he's not like, one of their like core people or whatever, it makes sense that they pulled him back in for this because he's so like, it's not like they just got him for like he was only ever Monty and they pulled him back in. It's like, oh no, he's been in kind of throughout. So
yeah, now I'm going through and looking at his character credits within the show. That's insane. I mean, good for him. Is he a production manager? Various roles. Does he work with the show doing anything other than child acting?
I don't.
Or not child acting, voice acting.
No, I believe he is just. His only involvement with Odyssey is that.
Okay.
And yeah, I think it's fun
that they did it. That is really cool.
I like the keeping him around and bringing him back in for this, and it's just
Shout outs to old heads like us that remember young Monty.
Yeah, and even I barely remember original Monty. I mean, it's not like Monty is a character who's been in a ton of episodes.
No. I mean, he really is only heavily featured in like the first couple albums.
Yeah, for sure. Like, and even then, it's like, I don't know, a little light.
Yeah, like there's like one album when they're on, I think, was it album 3 or album 4? They're on vacation in Odyssey, and so there's like a bit of a running arc in different episodes about like him and his sister, him and his, him and Odyssey and other stuff.
He is in 6 episodes prior to what we're now covering.
Wow.
So
it's not even, wow.
Right. He was in the original Family Portraits album on 2 episodes that were then later remade.
Okay.
Or re-aired as regular episodes of the show. And then so those were on like the first or second album of Odyssey. And then he was back on for the ice fishing album, whatever that is. Thin Ice?
Yeah.
On Thin Ice?
Yeah,
on Thin Ice. Yeah. And has 4 episodes on that album.
Yeah, that's the one I'm talking about.
And then he's out of there until now.
Wow. I can't believe that was the last.
Yep.
Wow.
Well, it's interesting too, considering that they have him as an actor on the show all throughout.
Yeah, why they just don't want to give Whit a relationship with his grandson? I don't know.
Yeah. And then he gets, he does get name dropped, from time to time. That's not like, I feel like, actually, even looking at the credits here, name dropped in 4 Christmas episodes and the Mortal Coil.
Well, of course, naturally.
Right, but it's just like anytime Whit would talk about his family, that's when Monty's acknowledged. Yeah. Otherwise, we just kind of like,
know, it doesn't matter.
So yeah.
But he's Whit's grandson, and I don't know. There's that part doesn't sit well with the gap and how little knowledge Whit has, despite working for the Secret Service, or working with the Secret Service. He's God. He is not subject to any law, but it is a little frustrating. Anywho, do we have a promo for this episode?
We do, in fact, have a promo.
On the next Adventures in Odyssey, everyone wants the same thing.
Somebody has to stop and just tell me what's going on.
Marty, you have to sit down and tell me what's going on.
You can tell me what's going on here, or you can come with me to the station.
Will somebody please stop and tell me what's going on?
To get your answers, listen to the next episode in the Green Ring Conspiracy on Adventures in Odyssey.
Stellar promo.
Yeah, and actually a pretty accurate description of what is happening here.
I guess that had to have been a conscious choice in the script, right? Because I want to know who's like listening through this episode and going like, oh, that's the thread we can pull for the promo.
Tell them what's going on. I know, expositional dialogue. That'll get them to listen.
Yeah.
Not me.
It is, right. It is an exposition-heavy episode. It also is, we are 4 episodes into this saga, and this episode answers solves so many mysteries.
Yes. Where is it going? I mean, obviously it's going to build on it, but yeah, no.
For sure, but it is weird, and it's like a nice satisfaction. I think similar to like in the first episode where it was like, oh, they found a phone in the woods. Oh, it's Dirtbags' phone. Like we immediately find out. This episode feels like, all right, we're just gonna close off a lot of like questions you have, and we'll get into that as we go. It starts with the scene referenced heavily in that promo, which is Connie at wit's end getting filled in on everything.
Yeah, and it's like, wow. So Eugene is moving stuff into a room in wit's end for Katrina to tutor students out of it. Is Katrina there as well at the time? Okay,
correct.
So she's the female voice that is also contributing to the recap being done to Connie in like kind of like very like what, maybe 80s 90s sitcom-esque, like, oh, the main characters are running past the person who doesn't know what's going on and giving them snippets of information but isn't actually answering the question.
Really well engineered though.
Oh my gosh,
for what it's worth.
Yeah, no, this whole episode, I have a note later when they're at Trickle Lake, that water sounds very wet, not gonna lie. So
yeah,
there's that.
Yeah, and I've got a big thing to talk about with Skint's truck then too, because that's fun. But just sound engineering all around good. So they are, Eugene and Katrina are renovating their basement, so Eugene is taking over Katrina's going to work in the room next to its office, which has been emptied to tutor kids rather than their basement, which seems like a good call.
Yeah. Great. I mean, why wouldn't they just do that in the first place?
I agree.
Keep your basement for something else.
Yeah. Also, I don't know, tutoring kids in your basement versus like the local ice cream shop.
Yeah.
One of those seems better.
We can do hands-on learning at wit's end, or we can sit on some carpet squares in my
unfinished
my
basement because they're renovating it.
Yep.
So it was not finished.
Don't mind the mold smell.
Yeah. Or maybe it was like a half finished. Maybe we got like an Andrew Sabo basement thing going.
Yeah.
It's not quite the dungeon that my parents have.
That's your house is a lot older than mine. My parents tried to finish our basement, and then they just had more kids instead.
An A+ strategy.
Yeah. Basement's still unfinished, so that's a success on their part.
Anyways, so right, Eugene's they're walking past Connie and giving her bits and pieces, but the gist is like, hey, plane crash, counterfeit money, Monty's in town, which Katrina tells Connie about Monty, and I'm just like,
how?
What? No, it was just like, it was supposed to be this like secret, and then like, okay, no biggie, like we'll just like, Eugene already knows, fine, I guess he's gonna tell his wife, sure, she's gonna tell Connie just for fun and while walking past and yelling.
For chaos sake.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and then she finds out that they're looking for help. That and Connie's like, it was me taking an art class, getting me fired. Same joke as before.
Yep.
There's also, this episode has so much like Connie and Eugene bickering, and I was just like, I thought we were past this.
Yeah, I get that it's like, oh, this is just how they are, but there's like, Connie takes so many cheap shots at Eugene and vice versa, where I'm like, all right.
Right, it's very sitcom-y, I guess, but like the whole thing when like, Eugene's like setting up this room, she's like, Katrina kicked you out.
Yeah.
Which I'm just like, all right.
Yeah,
all right.
or like she's later with the interview, Connie makes a joke about Katrina being a good judge of character, except for who to marry.
Right, and then Eugene's like looking at her art and like, what even is that?
Yeah, I'm like, come on now.
Yeah, it's just like, come on, be hospitable.
Be nice
like each other.
Yeah, you guys work together. Jeez.
Yeah.
If I was that mean to my coworkers, I would actually get fired.
I don't know. I am that mean to some of my coworkers, but like in like a ribbing way.
Well, yeah. No. Yeah. And maybe that's the case, but
I think that is what Connie's going for. It's just maybe not.
It's not well done.
No. So then, all this builds to Connie screaming.
Will somebody tell me what's going on?
Yep. And Katrina just steps in beautifully and is just like, with the utmost grace, is just like, let's grab some tea and I'll fill you in.
Yeah, she's so nice.
She really is.
This is a great Katrina episode.
It is,
I kind of forgot how much I liked what they did with her character and like kind of the maternal role that she ends up playing. Especially in this era of the show where it's like pre them adopting Buck. So... Spoiler, sorry.
We've talked about it before.
Yeah.
Probably. I don't know.
The episode came out like a while ago. I don't know.
Yeah, we're fine.
So then we cut. That's the end of the scene, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep,
then we cut to Whit and Monty back at the house, which is where the last episode left off, right? Was Whit finding Monty?
Correct.
Yeah.
He walks in, Monty's collapsed on the floor. Yeah. We're now the next morning. He's bringing Monty in breakfast. We find out that Dr. Graham was there overnight.
Yeah.
That she came in secret and just did a favor for Whit.
Definitely illegal. Definitely against a lot of rules as far as medicine and legality is concerned.
Yeah, but she's helping out Whit, and, you know.
I ship it. Whit and Graham.
I mean... There are worse pairings, folks.
Yeah. John Avery Graham. It would be his final form in his god metamorphosis.
Yeah.
Or, I mean, that's awfully progressive, Whit taking Dr. Graham's last
I know, I like it.
But it's better than Lily Whitaker. It just doesn't roll off the tongue as well. Anyway, so he broke in through the window, and, you know, we get that, like, a little brief acknowledgement. I don't know if that was established in the previous episode or not. This is also when...
No. Because the last episode, Whit goes, "Why is my door open?"
Yeah.
And then walks in.
Yeah. And he broke in through the window? Maybe he...
broke in through the window and then unlocked the door?
So my first thought was perhaps it's like a screen porch situation where the porch door was open, but there's a window to the living room on the porch. I mean, it's a stretch.
It is. So right, this is the problem. And this episode, I'm gonna have a couple of these moments.
Or maybe
when
you, just got
you
really
are
mad.
doing a show, and I know, like, when you are making a show that is all plotted out at the same time, recorded as one continuous story and released, I am going to be way harder on it.
Yeah, of course.
Than when, like, you get, like, a Rydell or a Blackard or even a Novacom, where it's, like, stretched out over years.
Yeah. Yeah, when you take the whole, like, okay, Odyssey's... Are they playing the continuity game right now? Are they not? And you can tell in certain sagas and plot, you know, for plot reasons, they cling to it more so. But here, where they're really, like we established earlier, they're, like, working off of a template very specifically.
It's just like
I don't know how they missed this.
Right, you end an episode on, my door's unlocked, and then start the next one with, my window is broken.
And then you get, like, a couple lines of dialogue. Like, it's not like it's not acknowledged within the show. So, we love it.
It's a little weird, but, you know.
Maybe Dr. Graham broke the window.
Oh.
Now, that's the thing. She swung in like Spider-Man and just broke through
I like it.
The picture window.
We also... So, this is Monty's first time waking up, like, and seeing Whit. So, he had been out the whole night. He kind of... He's not even slightly surprised that Whit knows everything.
Yeah.
Which is really weird. He's not surprised that Whit knows he's a secret agent. Nor is he surprised that, like, he's put together this much of the mystery and, like, knows all these characters.
Yeah, and that plane ride, he must have put together a lot of pieces emotionally to come into this moment very calm and collected.
Well, it's just, it's weird because he's immediately like, you know, Whit's kind of filling him in and was like, look, I spoke to your mom, like I spoke to Jan and she's, you know, she's not gonna come. And he's like, how'd you pull that off? Like, we can never talk her out of anything because, Jana's strong-willed. That's her thing. Or stubborn.
She only gets the one thing.
Yeah, she does. Rip. But the thing there is, so it's like, yeah, I talked her out of it, whatever. She thinks that you work at some place in Des Moines, like you work as a food inspector in Des Moines. Mm-hmm. Wait, you thought that until yesterday?
Yeah.
Maury has no.
Maury.
You can't see it, but I just finger gun shot myself, folks.
Yeah, no, it's never mind.
Well, Monty has no way of like knowing that Whit knows.
Yeah. No, there's no way.
He's such a bad secret agent if he just wakes up from being unconscious and is like, oh yeah, I'm a secret agent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
No need to hide this.
No. Maybe there was a conversation, not, off air, where when he was younger, Whit told him,
But Whit didn't know.
No, yeah.
We established that last episode.
There is no way.
So, it's just weird. It's a very clear, we as the audience can put this together, so we're just gonna gloss over the characters doing it.
Yeah.
And it's just, it's...
Well, and Whit definitely in this episode gets more of a kind of caretaker role onto Monty.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think in this scene, that kind of assumption of knowledge goes to prove that, Whit has it all figured out and he has it taken care of. I told the doctor that this is true and this is true and you're going to call your mom and explain everything, which better be true, in the classic, grandpa moment. So, yeah, you're exactly right. They just kind of gloss over the logistics of it for the sake of giving Whit his paternal moment in the sun.
Yeah, and it's right. It's not like it's just a weird flaw.
So this is when Monty says the pilot doesn't know anything. They're talking about obviously everything that happened with the plane crash.
Mm-hmm.
And then Dirk staggering away, talking to Wally Hagler. And then
wait, he doesn't know about that.
Yeah, it's mentioned in the scene, isn't it?
Oh, does Whit bring it up?
Yeah, Whit explains it. He's catching them all up.
Gotcha.
A part of the massive amount of expositional dialogue in this episode.
Right. Yeah, I was trying to hit more on what's the new stuff, and Monty brings up that he's someone on his team was working for the counterfeiters and he thinks it's going to be Tanner.
Yeah. Yes. Which is shocker.
Well, yeah.
Shocker.
And then we jump to a scene between Tanner and Polehouse where Polehouse asks about her agents, and she reveals that she's flying solo. She's going to Connellsville. So there's... Right.
To talk to the pilot, I think?
Well, so this is the thing. So Polehouse she asks him about stuff. He's like, about the engraver, about the paper, just about how good the counterfeits are. Oh, they found Monty and Dirk's fingerprints on there, as well as a partial that doesn't match anything and definitely will never matter.
Yeah, certainly not.
And then I was like, wait, does this mean Buck was reading Oliver Twist with gloves on? We'll get to that later.
As one does, I suppose.
No, yeah, there's actually an explanation. And then so there's a paper mill in Connellsville that makes the special paper.
Fiber Touch 132.
Right. But the pilot's also in Connellsville, and Tanner says, I'm going to go to Connellsville and check on the pilot. And I'm like, are you? Or are you going to this paper mill? Suspicious Tanner. And she might actually be going to, the pilot, but we'll see. And he's like, yeah, when's your backup coming? She's like, nah, it's just me, buddy.
Certainly nothing sketchy here.
Yeah. And so, yeah, Polehouse, she trusts Polehouse and his team to find Monty.
Yeah.
Oh, also, it's 5,000 $20 bills.
Yep.
So that's $100,000.
Yeah, and this, they get the, this is a very interesting scene between Polehouse and Tanner, just because Tanner is, in the previous episodes, has kind of been, like, the authority in the situation and has the most knowledge, and now the roles are being reversed, whereas she's taking a step back and certainly not looking suspicious at all, and just being like, oh yeah, you police, you just go, you know the area better than we do, like, you figure it out, you got this, I believe in you. Whereas, sure. Like, you know, 2 episodes ago, they were like, we have, like, 1 cop car in this entire town.
Right. There's this whole thing, too, in the Whit and Monty scene where Monty's like, oh, like, are we being watched? And Whit's like, no. Which is another interesting, because we set up last episode that they were going to be watched.
Where did we set that up?
When Whit leaves and Polehouse goes, are you really going to let him go alone? And she's and Tanner's like, no, absolutely not. Yeah. And then she totally does.
Yep. Oh, yeah. Huh. Sketch.
Uh-huh.
Maybe she sent Dr. Lily Graham to watch Whit.
Oh.
And that's when they fell in love.
Maybe.
Write your fanfics and send them to us at wadfamchalkpod@gmail.com.
Yeah, we'll read them out on the Patreon. And so...
I'll read them before bed at night. No, actually, nope, can't promise as to when I will be reading them, but I will read them. So we jump to the next scene, which is Buck and Mr. Skint outside of Whit's End, kind of like
across the park.
Yeah.
They're in Skint's truck.
Mm-hmm.
And we've got Buck is going into Whit's End.
Buck, my boy, is going into Whit's End.
Buck, my boy. Skint's got to keep, is trying to keep a low profile. And then he throws out the idea of like, oh, I got a really good idea. We could go plant some evidence on Wally Hagler. And Buck's like, but won't Archie like be mad that he's his brother? And Skint's like, there's blood between them, but they ain't brothers. If you know what I mean, Buck, my boy.
It's like I'm dropping you off for the first day of school.
Oh yeah, yeah. And so the thing in this scene and throughout we have, so there's a good long bit in the new official guide about this, and it really shows, which is the pickup sounds for his truck.
Yeah,
phenomenal.
It sounds like it's just was recorded inside of a truck.
Yeah. So exactly. Yeah. So they went to, this is Rudy Hare is the mastering engineer for Adventures in Odyssey.
Okay.
And so he was like behind all this, and he's got the little blurb in the book where he talks about like going to having a friend who had a '69 Dodge pickup. And they just, like, climbed in it and recorded everything.
All of the sounds.
Right, just opening, closing doors, jumping in and out of it, slamming the tailgate, sounds of driving. They got, like, the mic in the cab while it's driving, out of the cab while it's driving. Just, like, all of the sounds. The car driving up, the car driving away. Just, like, yeah. It is... And it really shows... Because, like, stuff like Whit's car just feels like generic car.
Yeah, car sound.
Whereas, right, it feels like, okay, you grabbed, like, a car sound from a library or whatnot. Whereas Skint's truck sounds distinct.
Yeah.
Like, it's one of the few times that there is, like, a inanimate object that is that, like, specifically designed. And so it was really cool to hear all of this. Yeah, all of the talking about this.
Yeah, no, I thought it was crazy. Just in the way that the sound kind of like the sound muffles inside the cabin, and like when you open the door, you hear that slight, subtle change in, I guess, acoustics.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, that's really interesting that was how they did it. Wow, I love that Foley work. Odyssey should win every award for Foley work. Other things, debatable, but...
Yeah, but I mean, what else does Odyssey have going for it?
Not much. This podcast.
Yes, you're absolutely right.
And then the scene ends with the iconic line, another one branded on my brain, find that appleberry. It's not a good Mr. Skint impression,
no.
But
no, my Skint impression is more of a rhythm thing than a voice thing. I can't do the voice.
Yeah.
But I can kind of get in that like very skinty like groove.
Yeah, no, there's some. Is it twang? Is it just?
I mean, there is like he does have like a southern twang, but there's something just about like the pacing.
Yeah.
To it, that really, I don't know, that I feel like, okay, I can handle that, and it's just, David Selby killing it with like such a specific voice.
Yeah, amazing. So then we cut back to Whit and Monty. They're still at Whit's house, and Monty's getting changed into Jason's clothes.
Love that little detail.
Yeah, really great. Jason left them there. Wow, these clothes probably pretty old, not gonna lie. That crusty, been in the closet too long shirt feel.
I mean, Jason was there in album 48, is I think the last time he was there. So it's only been five albums.
5 albums, undisclosed amount of time.
Right.
We'll say 2 years, maybe.
Yeah,
It could be worse.
Yeah,
could be worse.
Absolutely. And so we've got a paranoid Dirk. And so there's this whole thing where Monty got a call from this is actually before that even. He's just talking about like why he went radio silent. He's just like Dirk all of a sudden was paranoid, wouldn't let him out of his sight. And then announced out of nowhere that they were going to Odyssey. And which just to meet up with some of the best counterfeiters in the country. And Whit says in the most like lampshady way possible, in Odyssey of all places, which is just like, wait, you should know by now, everything happens in Odyssey because that's where you are.
Exactly.
And even when it's not where you are, it's where Whit's End is. Because you left and still everything happened there.
Pole, I think. Like, in the way that we have north and south poles for magnetic energy, I believe that Whit's End is the north pole for moral absolutism, I believe.
Probably. And there's also,
if not the Mecca.
Right. There might also be like, I don't know, a lot of like more like, alien or supernatural shows and whatnot talk about like flaps in like space-time.
Yeah.
And it's like that, but for like ambiguous spiritual warfare.
Flaps. Spiritual flaps.
Yeah, the best kind of flap. So yeah, Whit then is Monty's like, Monty makes a comment about like, did you ever have counterfeit before? And Whit's like, there was like a thing with counterfeit money a few years ago, which was him saying a few years ago. So there was one other counterfeit money thing in Odyssey. Isaac Morton found it in album 13. He found a backpack full of counterfeit money in Gower's Field.
Wow.
So like that does seem like a very specific thing to reference here. But then Whit's like, there was that thing from a few years ago. And I'm like, Whit, like...
It's definitely more than a few.
Right. Well, I mean, it's basically... Monty's entire time since Monty was gone.
You would remember, actually.
Yeah, you remember Isaac Morton?
Yeah. You were like 12.
His mom was the doctor before Lily Graham.
Yeah. Who I also married. Yeah, so this is they talk about the samples being exchanged at Trickle Lake, and so they're going to go and look at the spot where him and Dirk exchanged the backpacks with the counterfeit money and everything.
And then Whit tells him to get in the trunk.
I hope my trunk is clean. Mine is not. I'll tell you what, I was vacuuming out my car today. Poof, did not touch the trunk.
My trunk is always clean. I keep essentially nothing in my trunk.
I should keep essentially nothing in my trunk.
There's a blanket in there, and then like the stuff you need for when your car breaks down, and that is it.
I have 2 rusted out rotors that I need to take to AutoZone, 2 toboggans, a nursing bag, and a pair of shoes and a pair of sweatpants that would fit a 8th grade boy.
You guys know we're recording these in advance, but for the record, it is mid-April and Andrew has 2 toboggans in his car.
Yes.
And we don't live at the North Pole.
No. Mm-mm. I could just easily take them out. That is the play. Actually, there's a story behind why those toboggans are in my trunk, but that's for another time.
Okay. Subscribe to our Patreon for that story. Or maybe just wait for Andrew to go live on the Instagram. It'll happen eventually, right?
Maybe. Who knows? Could be spicy.
Terrifying thought.
Yeah, terrible. No. The audience, our viewership would definitely go down. There's no way. I don't think
you've got a pretty face.
Well, thank you, but I'm afraid as to what raw, unfiltered Andrew might do to our current fan base.
You can be filtered.
That's fair.
We did a live episode.
It has been done, yeah.
Yeah. So we then jump back to Wits End. Buck walks in, and Eugene talks to Mr. Eugene, and Eugene's like, you can just call me Eugene. However, I will call everyone else not
Ms. Kendall.
Right. This is the thing. He calls his only friends,
yes,
Connie and Whit, Ms. Kendall, Mr. Whitaker, exclusively.
Yeah, he's not really setting a good standard here.
No, and that's arguably Mr. Eugene is less formal.
Yeah.
Because that's a Mr. First Name thing.
Mm-hmm.
Which that is when I I'm out in schools and have to interact with students and whatnot for my job and whatever. I get Mr. Dillon.
You get Mr. Dillon?
Correct.
That must be fun.
Do
you enjoy it?
It's nice. Like, I'm explicitly not Mr. Weaver.
That is, yeah.
Like, teachers, because the whole thing where like teachers call each other Mr. and Mrs. is just so weird. I mean, I understand why you have to do it, but I'm just like, oh no, I'm just I'm sticking with teachers know me as Dylan and students know me as Mr. Dillon.
I think Mr. Andrew will probably be the way that I go until I become Dr. Andrew, that'll be fun.
Right. Or Auntie Clementine.
Or Auntie Clementine, but that's only on Thursday nights after 10.
So the Katrina is going to do the interview. Eugene's like, oh yeah, he's talking to Connie, and she's like, Katrina's gonna be doing the interviews. And then we literally cut to Katrina doing the interview. I didn't expect her to be literally doing it right then and there. But boy is she. So Buck goes up there and
yeah, well, and it's basically it's weird because Whit put out this application and typically he does all the screening and Eugene's kind of like, oh, well, I was given instructions to Connie, and Connie's like, oh, what? Okay, whatever. And then it turns out that his instructions was to have Katrina do the interview, which are Whit's instructions, which, again, Connie feels then even more upset because, of course, Connie's left out writing. Thumbs up. Great job. Not recycled material at all.
No, we love when Connie is kept in the dark, and then when she understandably, but still frustratingly, explodes.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm like, we get it, Connie. Because the writers put you in this circumstance, that is the way to respond.
Yeah. When you're treated poorly, sometimes you'll act out.
Yeah, and so Katrina's up there interviewing Buck. She asks him why he moves around so much, if his dad's in the military. He's like, well, no, I don't have parents. My guardian is Mr. Skint. And he's a scout for carnivals, which is the first time we actually get to hear what his official job title is.
Yeah, his what he files on his taxes.
Right.
Carnival
scout. Or no, he's manager of
entertainment something.
Mobile entertainment manager, I think.
Yeah. Which is that? I suppose that's going to be significantly different than like sedentary entertainment management, but
yes. And so
she wants him to take an aptitude test. That's where the scene
ends. And then we end. And then we jump over to the paper mill where Polehouse is talking to
Andy Jackson.
Right. Mr. $20 himself.
Yep.
Andy, don't call him Andrew, Jackson.
Don't call me Andrew under any circumstances. I only go by Andy.
Right.
If you actually know me, you know that my skin curls whenever I'm called Andy.
Yeah. No. Never call him Andy. Occasionally he gets Drew, specifically from his family.
Mm-hmm. I don't mind it if you call me Drew. Out in the wild. That's it's more confusing. I will say I know a lot of Drews. I don't know any other people that are Andrew that go by Andrew.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, friend of the show, Drew Huber, does occasionally go by Andrew, and
but only from his parents. I'm pretty sure, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, but he also, I mean, that's what he does. Like that's his like official like anytime. Yeah. Anytime he's doing anything professionally, it's under Andrew.
Oh, that is weird.
Which means him being on our show is not considered professional, even though he did more research than we ever have.
Yeah, but we didn't pay him for it, so it doesn't matter.
We paid him an exposure to our massive audience.
Yes, sir. Certainly.
And so Andy Jack is talking about a large order that was placed for this very specific paper that Polehouse is investigating. He's like, hey, have there been any large orders of this paper? And he's like, oh, in fact, there was from one place. It was called Green Ring Publishing, and they paid in cash, and the buyer's name was John Smith, and his building is now vacant with no forwarding address.
Nothing suspicious here. Should I be worried about that cash? Yes. The answer is yes.
Yes, but Polehouse sucks, so he doesn't tell him that.
No, he just leaves.
I know. He could just say, yeah, check to see if it's counterfeit, man.
If Tanner hasn't already come, she is going to come, and this guy has no warning.
Yeah.
And he already suspects Tanner, which we get later.
And Andy Jackson is voiced by Bob Hoose, which just Bob Hoose, killed it on this one.
Yeah.
He's so good for just being bit roles in Odyssey episodes. It is kind of amazing that he has such a variety of voices, and yet they've never actually used him as anyone
major.
Right.
Yeah.
He just aside from writing and directing the show, he just plays these bit characters in one episode. And it's always good.
Maybe he really hates it, but he's super good at it.
It's just, it's we hear there are a lot of these hey, we get writers in and whatever, and they oftentimes only do a couple, and they don't have a ton of voice variants and whatever, but yeah, he
does a really good job, and I think it's the slight eccentricism that he kind of throws into it, but it totally works, especially within the context of Odyssey.
Yeah, it would be interesting to hear him talk, but I feel unlike a lot of these people, even Phil Lawler, when he voices Glossman, is just doing his own voice.
Yeah.
Or Chuck Bolte as George Barkley is just doing his own voice. I feel like Bob Hoose always makes a choice.
Yeah.
Which is definitely what keeps it split up. But still, it's I don't know. And
that's a lot of choices to have to make.
Right.
Yeah. And there's a season parking sticker on the important information before Polehouse leaves.
Yep.
He saw the person driving away who paid for the order in cash in a pickup truck, and there was a boy with him, about 14 or 15.
Right. He's got a beard, long hair, taller, and on his car is a Trickle Lake season parking ticket, or parking pass.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just okay, so you didn't remember this order a minute ago. It is the John Mulaney bit about detective about Law and Order, and how the New York bartender who remembers everyone.
Everything. Yeah.
And it's I realize Odyssey is a small town, but you're okay, I walked out there because he left his receipt. So I went out, and he was in this old pickup truck, and there was a kid there. And we're like, okay, so if we weren't sure that it was Skint already, it's absolutely Skint and Buck. And then he's like, not only was there a kid in this old truck, but there was a parking pass, not just for any place, but specifically for Trickle Lake. And I noticed that, and I remembered that, and I'm now telling you, detective, months later.
So now is when we have to make the Trickle Lake parking pass sticker and put it on the TeePublic. Michaela, you have your call to arms.
The gauntlet has been thrown. So we then, right, he asks then about, like, oh, should I be worried about that cash? And Polehouse is just like, bye.
Yeah.
I'm out of here, because I suck.
Yeah.
Even though, like, I don't even think Polehouse sucks at this point.
No.
Anytime he's interacting with Wally is a different story, but just, like, on a whole, the man's doing a good job.
Yeah, oh yeah.
He's a little gruff, but he doesn't seem like he's...
Nah, he seems like he's good at his job.
Yeah.
And just a big jerk to Wally for really no reason.
Yeah. Because his family sucks. And he's also a jerk to Jay and whatever. Yeah. But otherwise, he's okay. So we then jump to the doc, which when we were talking about this earlier, of like hey, we're going to set something up and immediately answer it without any question. Yeah. So we jump, and Whit and Monty...
to Trickle Lake.
Right, are at Trickle Lake. They're walking around Dock C. Monty makes a comment about like, oh boy, it's really changed a lot since when I was here, referencing Album 7 when they went fishing at Trickle Lake. Also, like, I guess he's just doing it for small talk with Whit, but he was on this dock before. This is not new to him. Like, he was on this 2 days ago or whatever when he did the deal.
Well, you see, he was undercover with Dirk, so he had to act like he had never been there before.
Right, for sure. And he explains this is where they met the counterfeiter. And then Whit's like, oh, yes, they have done a lot here at Trickle Lake. There's even a private club over there that has its own parking. A thing that normal people say in conversation all the time. I'm always like, look at that, nice big ranch over there. They've got their own parking.
Congratulations. That bagel shop has its own parking.
Yeah, it has its own parking. They have a pink sticker that's in the right corner of cars, and they only give it to full paying members. And they change the color every month so that you know who, like, it's just like, wait. Why?
Thank you. Also, no thank you.
Yeah. And then he starts talking about the man he met and says, like, long hair, tall, beard. And we're like, oh, so this is also Skint. Yeah. And then, just to clear it up for us, in his recapping, we flash back into Skint talking.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just like, oh, yeah. If you aren't positive that Skint was the person here, now you are.
Yep. There's no questions about it. It was definitely him.
Not one.
Yeah. And so Skint then pulls a gun on them. So he goes...
Well, yeah. So this is in the past.
Yeah. This is in the flashback.
So he's explaining, like, they each brought a backpack, and Skint had them, like, took the money out of his backpack and put it into theirs. So the Oliver Twist book was not Buck's. Yeah. All that fun speculation we had last episode. It's
Monty's book, isn't it?
It was in Monty's backpack, or Monty and Dirk's backpack. So the thing so Buck left something in that backpack, though. Huh. We thought it was the book, but it's not. What could it be? Oh, don't worry. They'll explain it in 10 seconds.
Probably several toothpicks.
But yeah, then Skint pulls out a gun and tells them to take everything out of their pockets and put it in the bag just for insurance as he like makes his escape. And then, then we get Monty going like, oh, this boathouse, and this is like a public dock, and this we're back in the present now, and he busts down the door.
Yeah.
Be a shame if someone broke this old wood break.
Yeah. Wow, this door doesn't seem very sturdy. If I were just to pull on it, and then it just right open. And Whit's like, glosses over it.
He's just like, I'll talk to the
I'll talk to the groundskeeper later or whatever.
Yep.
And they find the empty backpack in the boathouse.
And it's fully empty, except
in the side pocket or back pocket.
Back pocket, there's a disc with hearts on it.
Ooh.
And this is Buck's, we assume.
Yes.
This is the thing that he was like, oh yeah, whatever. Like, I guess I won't be afraid that I left it there.
Yeah.
But
I wonder what it is.
Now they have it, and they can get fingerprints. And yes, is this from a deceased parent? Is this from a lover?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
What's the situation here? Who puts hearts on a CD?
Again, only in my experience, only ever been for SOs. So we'll find out.
Mm-hmm. Time will tell.
Explained? Is it explained?
I don't remember.
I don't remember either. Well, that's exciting.
I clearly, last episode, if you listened, thought that he was reading that the thing he left was Oliver's twist. Like, Oliver's twist. That's canon now. Yep. Buck Oliver's twist. We'll get that by the end of the arc.
That was a quality joke there.
Thanks. And then immediately Polehouse walks in and is like, you guys are under arrest.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, great. Awesome. I mean, obviously makes sense. He was coming there anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And then we cut to Eugene and Connie at Wit's End. Connie is sketching the salt shaker and goes through this, like...
Right. So, wait. So can we establish... Right. Polehouse is going to Trickle Lake because of the sticker on the car.
Yes, naturally.
And then gets there, starts walking down the dock, and sees a broken door, and then is like, wait, Monty, you're under arrest.
Yeah, pretty much. My guess is maybe he recognized Wit's Torcell and then just saw the broken door.
Mayhaps.
I mean, he's already had some run-ins with the law. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, Wit's, very famous for his run-ins with the law.
Well, mostly running into the law, disregarding that it's there, and then suffering no consequences.
Right. Because he's old and white.
Yeah!
And also God? So we then jump back to Wit's End, where Connie is sketching a pepper shaker that's knocked over on a piece of paper, and Eugene's trashing it.
Yeah,
and then
wonderful.
Connie's like, "Oh, do you think I
have issues with confidence?"
And Eugene's like, "No, you're confident whether or not you're wrong or not, and you're confident in giving other people advice."
Yeah. He says these not terrible things in a very sinister way.
Right. This is the thing.
And then Connie brings up the business idea about copying, famous art. And this is when Buck walks past them on the way out and says bye to everybody. See you later or see you soon. And this is when Katrina kind of reveals that, okay, so he's super bright, but he doesn't have a lot of formal education, and
he's 14, but he seems way older.
Yeah, and but they want him to work there.
Yeah, she hired him pending Wit's approval.
Yeah.
And then she says, or yours, I guess.
Yeah.
Of just I guess Connie and Eugene can make this decision.
A signature from Buck's guardian.
Right. Well, yeah, he needs a signature to work there because he is 14.
Yes, yeah, naturally.
And so she was going to just have him take it and get it signed, but then when he was skittish about that, she was like, oh, let's have him come in.
Yeah.
Which is just some great improv on Katrina's part, where it's just it just showcases her intuitiveness and her people skills, and that she picked up on this thing that was going on.
Yeah, I'm surprised.
Intuition, not intuitiveness. I do that all the time. All right,
I'm gonna have to Google the difference later.
Intuition is the noun. Intuitive is the adjective, and then I turn that intuitive as the adjective back into a noun by adding a suffix when I should have just removed a suffix.
Yeah, I didn't do well in grammar, but thank you for explaining that to me. I do appreciate it.
Anytime.
Yeah, a lot of charm.
Buck's really skittish about Skint coming in, which of course.
But Katrina is super sympathetic, and Eugene picks up on it, and he's like, I've seen that look in your eye. I know it. It's like
normally around like lost puppies or the occasional student.
Yeah, and Katrina is like, it's a really cute moment where Katrina knows that Eugene knows. And she sees right through it, and she's like, well, maybe I just am concerned, I suppose.
I know, and I love it knowing where this goes, whether or not it was intentionally seeded in at this point. I like that Katrina cares. I think more than feeling like motherly, she just feels like a good teacher.
Yeah, a really good teacher. I don't think that she feels motherly at all. I think that she feels like like a good tutor.
Or like a youth group leader.
Yeah, we do love some good youth group leaders.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really good scene, and like we said, it's great Katrina episode overall. The next scene is then Monty and Whit and Pullhouse. We jump back to it, and this is Whit being like, "Why are you arresting us?" Right. After the previous scene, we just established breaking and entering, and then Pullhouse is like, "Well, for starters, breaking and entering."
Yeah, but he does it kind of tongue in cheek.
Yeah,
like it's like a great like. You clearly broke into this, like, very sophisticated building.
Yeah.
Like, it's... Pullhouse works for me in this scene. And then he's basically like, look, if you guys level with me, like, I'm not gonna... Like, I'm not gonna arrest you. Let's just, like, get all the cards out here on the table.
Yeah, he gets Monty to open up.
Yeah, and Monty's basically just like... Well, and Monty was all... Well, that seed was planted earlier by Whit. Mm-hmm. And Monty's like, look, I got... After we finished up the deal, Dirk got this call... Wouldn't say anything, then talked to the pilot, changed the flight plan. Monty at that point assumed his cover's blown. They're on this plane. Dirk pulls out a gun. They fight, which is why the plane goes down. The backpack falls out in the midst of all of it. Then...
No, Dirk tried to hit him with the backpack, and it fell out a window.
No, it fell out the door.
Okay.
Dirk opened the door and tried to throw Monty out of it.
Yes.
After Monty knocked away his gun, then they wrestled over the bag. The bag flew out the window.
Okay.
Or flew out the door.
I missed him
Dirk
trying
got
to throw
the gun.
the
Monty
thing.
pushed it away. That shot the dash. The plane went down. I just tried to skim.
I'm more of a 2% man myself, but
So, yeah, then Monty's basically just like, I'm starting to think it might be Tanner who is, behind all this. And Pullhouse is like, oh, yeah, no, I'm like, okay, that we can agree on. Mm-hmm. I also don't trust Tanner. She's alone. Mm-hmm. Also, her timeline makes no sense. Like, she was on her way here before Graham called the Springfield office. Like, there was no flights. Mm-hmm. There was no way for her to get here sooner. Like, I checked all this stuff out. She was already on her way. And, like, a missing agent, counterfeit money, and she doesn't bring a backup team. Like, she is super suspicious.
Yeah. This is also, I don't know if it's been established previously, but there's the phone was Dirk's insurance policy. There's tons of incriminating evidence on it, contact info and everything like that.
It's like a classic jellyfish laptop.
Yeah, exactly. If I'm going down, you're going down with me.
Yeah, and we more or less had that set up before, but this really does.
Yeah.
Hammer it home.
This is where you get it confirmed.
Of like, okay, the Appleberry's going to be key.
Yeah, it's not just going to be like a disposable phone.
Right.
Yeah, that's the end of the episode, isn't it?
Yep. We just go out on Chris wrapping up things on the theme of trust, which is this episode. Here's the thing. Before whatever it is that you're gearing up to say.
Certainly nothing.
Chris starts out with saying, like, clearly Pullhouse doesn't trust Monty or Tanner. And I'm like, wait, no. He totally trusts Monty. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
That whole scene was like him and Monty being on the same page.
It literally just happened.
He is a generally skeptical man, but he's not unreasonable. Like I think he trusts him. Maybe he won't down the line, but at this point, I feel like he trusts Monty.
Oh yeah, he totally trusts Monty. Yeah, and the whole theme is like basically judging people by their fruit rather than, judging people by their actions rather than what they say, which is true. And if you can't tell if something's good or bad, you need to look at how it compares to the Bible, that's a soapbox that I could get on that I don't need to right now, but how we interpret the Bible is a complex thing, and kind of whitewashing it and just telling people to like, well, what does the Bible say? You're right? Okay, cool. We won't question it or anything that goes behind it. And, you know, the negative outcomes are surely not related to this.
Yeah.
And it's a little frustrating just because, you know, judging people in general, I'm not a big fan of. And judging people and their actions is a very good way to protect yourself, especially, and if you're a child, yeah, I suppose it is priority to protect yourself. But, you know, this show is us listening to them as adults, and so it's fair for me to say that, you know, there are times when you need to be concerned about protecting yourself and see people's actions as red flags, but then you also have to understand that everybody has bad days and everybody has actions that don't really line up who they are and who they want to be and like who they're actually working towards becoming.
For sure. And you also like just because there's certain actions or whatever doesn't mean like, okay, now just ditch that person. Like,
yeah, exactly. And that's like, it's problematic result of this sort of like, as soon as they mess up, we out. You know, we just can't trust them.
Classic like Odyssey simplification. But I think as we go on with this series, we will get to explore some of the complexities there.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, it's Odyssey. It's always going to be black and white. Mm-hmm. But they at least give people opportunity to, you know, Polehouse is a gruff jerk who can totally be trusted and is on like the right side of this whole thing.
Yeah, and Wally is a guy that is actually trying his best to be a better person.
Right, even if,
we do get some complex characters represented, especially in this arc.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else you want to add?
No, that's kind of where I'm going to tap out as far as us.
Honest thoughts on the episode. Like it, love it, hate it?
Solid,
yeah.
Don't like it as much as I did last episode, but it is still a good episode, and it's just like continuing to advance the plot. Mm-hmm. And we get really good Katrina stuff. Mm-hmm. It's fun to finally get Monty and to start putting together some of the pieces. I'm amazed how many pieces were put together this episode.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
I'm excited to see where we go.
I wholeheartedly agree. Do you have any plugs?
No, I've got nothing.
Yeah, I am plug free.
All right. Well, then with all that being said, let's get out of here, and we will talk to you folks next week when we discuss episode 683, The Green Ring Conspiracy, Part 5.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Wadfam Chalk Pod is a presentation of the Lidditz Podcast Co-op. Follow the podcast at Wadfam Chalk Pod on Twitter and Instagram, or email us at wadfamchalkpod@gmail.com. The Green Ring Conspiracy Part 4 was hosted by Dylan Weaver and Andrew Sable, and edited by Dylan Weaver. And I'm Nathan Haverstick, hoping you'll join us again next time for more of the Wadfam Chalk Pod.